Yes, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Match Report. Obviously, by 3inMidfield. I am your host, Kojo, today. Cahil's not here today. Work obligations. So, we'll see him next week. Seagulls and all that. Private joke, but we move. But we are we are we are joined, of course. If Cahil's not here, there's only one person that can run into that spot, and is the third member of 3inMidfield.
Yeah, the lesser known third member.
Listen, you are the known member. There's no lesser or more. You are the known member of 3inMidfield. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, it's all good. I can't complain. Certain teams doing pretty well. The results went our way, so I'm happy with that.
It's a good weekend. There's one person that was supposed to be on the show with us today, but she bottled it clean.
Names.
We're dropping names out here. You know what I'm saying?
All right, cool.
I think she was here talking that good. So she's down on her luck right now. But anyway, we'll be joined by two other guests later on. Arsenal fan Dash from a Dash of Sports, and Dubul Dee from the D&D Football Factory. He is a Liverpool fan, so we'll dive into those two games later on. But Darren here is a what do you call yourself?
I'm part of the Potterati.
He's part of the Potterati. So that is obviously in relation to Graham Potter, who is the Brighton manager, and he led his club to a fantastic 5-2 win at home, and well deserved, by the way, at home win to Leicester. Now, we'll start on Potter first before we get to the other manager. Firstly, talk about the performance. What impressed you about the team, and of course, his management in this game as well?
So what impressed me about the team is the flexibility in Brighton. They always seem to really be one of those teams that do more than the sum of its parts. For example, they have a lot of players that you think, maybe you see the wrong end of their careers. For example, you look at Welbeck, who looks rejuvenated under Potter. Look at Solly March, who was there under Houghton. You look at Webster, Dunk, all good-ish players, but they've really gone up a different level with Potter. You could maybe argue Dunk was always at a decent level, got a call up from the England squad, but under this system, under Potter, he's been a little bit more expressive in the way he plays as well. And also just they're really that type of club that everybody is like, if they could pick something from Brighton to make their team better, it would be sort of their tactical fluidity or the way that their recruitment works. They're one of those example clubs that haven't been bankrolled by an energy drinks company or foreign state or anything like that, but still managed to do really good things. They're really, really tactically interesting. They play like a weird sort of 3-5-1-1 sort of formation where at any time it could be Caicedo, it could be McAllister, it could be Mwepu playing the deepest. Sometimes when Lalander's playing, he could sometimes play the deepest of the midfielders. You also have Pascal Gross, who's always playing off the front man. And it's always just really interesting, really clever football. Again, with players that aren't household names in the Premier League, full of household names. It's just a really, really interesting and really, really clever team. They outsmarted Leicester today.
They did, and they absolutely did. I mean, they went behind very early in the game. Well, what goal by Leicester? Got to give them their credit. Before we go back to Brighton, Jamie Vardy has not been in form for a long time.
Jamie Vardy, and this may or may not have anything to do with it, but Jamie Vardy's wife has had a lot of things happen in mainstream media, which probably wouldn't help. Also, to be completely honest with you, the striker is one of those positions where you need things happening behind you to really show out your potential, especially a striker like Vardy, who's in his mid-30s. If the team behind him isn't going to be working, he's not that type of player where he can create a goal out of nothing. He's not that player. He needs the creativity to be helping him. And whilst Maddison's been probably their best player, over the back end of last season and this season. There's so much going wrong at Leicester that Vardy's not going to really have the ability and the opportunity to shine. I mean, you look at the team. Look at Leicester's team today. I keep saying today. I mean Sunday. Look at their team. They played in DD centre back.
Yeah.
They played Samare defensive mid. Samare, who they wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
Kaglasionchu can't get in goal. Can't get into the team. So their goalkeeping situation is iffy. It's just like it's all over the place. You don't know whether they're playing a 4-1-4-1. You don't know whether they're playing a 3-5-2. You don't know whether they're playing a 4-2-3-1. Rodgers seems to be throwing things at the wall and hoping something sticks.
Yeah.
One, you could argue this worked. He switched out Leicester's forward line and put in Daka and in Inacho, who both got the score sheet. So obviously that did do something positive, but it's that sort of haphazardness. Patson Daka, who probably came into the team a couple of years ago thinking that this would be the time when he's constantly starting, isn't really getting that sort of opportunity, unfortunately, for himself. But that's the thing, it's a lack of planning. But if you look at Leicester's window, I think they're the only. I don't know. They've just bought somebody in, haven't they? But
Oh yes, they brought in Wild Face from Stade Reims in France. You know what? Well, I think we need to talk about Leicester fully before we continue. There's an Arsenal fan who had a chest to come on. Thank you, the Shaky Dash from a Dash of Sports. My brother, how you doing?
What's going on?
You know
real
what?
chest, real chest is always here.
I really respect that. Okay, with the shirt, with the colours showing, didn't hide. You know what?
Yep.
I rate that.
Anybody knows me. I do not shy away because at the end of the day, it's just a game.
It's true. We'll just watch it for fun and camaraderie. That's what it's about.
There you go. Shout clean. But anyway, we're talking about Leicester City and Brighton now. Obviously, Brighton trounced them. We'll get back into the tactical side of it. But Darren has pointed out a very shocking sort of transfer window for Leicester. You know, they lost a legend for them in Kasper Schmeichel for £1 million. You know, replaced him with a free transfer I say replaced Alex Smithies, who came in.
Nobody wanted. It was free.
Well, exactly. It was a free transfer, you know. So he's left Cardiff and he was without a club. They lost him. They obviously lost Fofana. They've loaned out Hamza Chowdhury. Ademola Lookman has also gone on loan, hasn't he? He's gone to
Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, Atlanta he's gone to.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So let's talk about Brendan Rodgers and then we'll go back to Graham Potter. Dash, how long has Brendan Rodgers got? And when I say that, are we talking about, in your opinion, is it a second thing or is he getting to the point where he's just had enough? Because he's starting to get a bit vocal about how things are going.
Yeah, I think the situation with Brendan Rodgers, I believe he won't walk away. I don't think he's that way inclined. I think he's, what they deem as an honourable man and he will, stick by his contract and all of that rare tear. But like you said, you see when managers, these are the telltale signs, when they start coming and they start revealing the backroom, unrest. The game before, I think between the Man United game and the last one, he was already talking about the cohesiveness of the team is not all the way there due to the fact that some players obviously eyes are wandering elsewhere during the transfer window. He's going to find it quite difficult to bring everyone back together again, but it's a task in itself, rare tear. When a manager starts talking like that, the board pays attention. And we've seen it time and time again. The board will be looking at him and thinking, you're not stable right now. Players also will be going above his head, who will be then talking to the board or the owner and stuff like that and saying that there's unrest. We're not feeling it no more. That's when it's going to be a situation in the next couple of games. The way you can see it with the players as well. Like his demeanor is rubbing off on the players because the players are not running through brick walls as they were for him, let's say even a couple seasons ago. And it's difficult when you're losing players as well. Like now you're going to see the likes of Maddison. They're going to be looking around and thinking, what's going on here? Where's my move? You know, Fofana's just gone. Not too long ago, Maddison was like 70, 80 mil that he was being touted for. Now he's looking around. He ain't got his move. They've heavily, once again, relying on Vardy. This transition of Vardy should have been done time ago.
Yeah.
You're still trying to utilize him like it's Vardy 6 seasons ago. It's not working. Kasper Schmeichel's obviously gone because he's clearly he's got a strong connection with the board and the owners and stuff like that. So he's probably understood where the club's going. The board have told Brendan Rodgers, like, at the moment, in terms of the way they want to run the club, they can't be overspending or spending large amounts of money. So they're asking Brendan Rodgers, you're going to have to turn this water into wine. But Brendan Rodgers and where he's been tittering on trying to get fourth and stuff like that, he's saying he needs to progress. He wants to go to that next level and next stage. And it's difficult. Manager and board are not seeing eye to eye. And we always see this time and time again. It always ends in a sacking. It will be very, very brave of Brendan Rodgers to leave. And I don't see that happening. So if you're going to ask me the question of whether I see Brendan Rodgers getting sacked, I think so this season.
Darren, if Rodgers is sacked, now Leicester's players, as Dash has pointed out, have been wanted. Whenever we say wanted, I mean, over the years, you heard Soyuncu, obviously his stock has dropped, but he was linked with a move away. James Justin came through and he got injured, but before the injury as well, he came through. But recently, Yuri Tillmans has a year, well, less than a year left on his contract at this point.
Less than a year.
James Maddison, now he was poor against Brighton, but I don't think he's wanted to be there since last season anyway. I think he's been looking for a move because the teams that are above Leicester are teams that are challenging for European positions. And I think he's at a point of his career where he wants to get into that upper echelon of competition in the Premier League. Where do Leicester go from here? As in, how much trouble do you think they're in? League-wise, losing players-wise? Because if they're looking at, if they're going to sell Fofana, which they knew was going to happen eventually, for what was it, £85 million? Surely the idea would have been, let's maybe try and give the manager a bit to invest because we know we're getting some of that income back. I say that they did make a huge loss of I think £115 million over the financial year. But I digress. Where do you see them going from here? Because they look like they're in big trouble.
So they are, frankly, they're in a lot of trouble. Worst start in their history in the Premier League. I think worst start since like 94 or something like that. You've also got to add into the equation that you've got a lot of players that, as you said, that want to leave, but their suitors aren't coming in. Everybody knew the Tillman situation coming into the summer window. Nobody went into for him. And that in itself is a problem for Leicester. If they are making those losses, they can't recoup them. Also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure their owners are a travel agency based in Thailand. So they've probably had a really rough couple of years with COVID, etc. And Leicester have missed an opportunity. As Dash said, there was a period where they were around that 4th, 5th space. They won the FA Cup. They're a game or two away from getting Champions League. And now the chasing pack has gobbled them up. And they're now in a position where their best players are going to go for less money than they would have gone 2-3 years ago. They're not really going to get a better manager they have right now. Rodgers' situation is getting a bit Scott Parkery, where we all know he wasn't very happy with the window.
Yeah.
And then he started making noise about how unhappy he was about the window. And one hammering to Mehdi was shown the door, irrespective of the fact that we all know Bournemouth squad isn't good enough. That's not really the point with Leicester, but we know that if they want even to get the Conference League in Europe this season, with teams like Palace, with teams like West Ham, we might even win it this year. Like the chasing pack, Brighton, the chasing pack for even the lowest echelon of European place is so competitive. That they're in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble.
Their stock has dropped, man.
Massively.
We're thinking about what, just maybe 2 seasons ago. Brendan Rodgers has been touted to be Manchester United manager.
FA Cup winners.
You know, FA Cup winners, even like the season before that FA Cup win, he's being like, you know, touted as a future Manchester United manager. Even at one point in time, Arsenal before the Arteta, like, you know, he was considered as a viable choice. Like I said, I definitely believe he's not a manager that's going to be like, I want to leave, but he's being very vocal as you can be, but at the same time trying to be respectful and stuff like that. But like you said, you know, it's a Scott Parker kind of move, in it. Like when we see managers start talking like this in front of the camera, you're not like a Jurgen Klopp, you know what I mean, where you can get away with this.
Yeah.
You know, eventually it's going to catch up with him. And like you said, like if they just don't buck up their results alone, that is going to be the cause of his sacking.
And the issue here for Brendan Rodgers is he's in the catch-22. There'll always be managers that will look at that job and think, I can cook with that.
Yeah.
But will there be jobs for Brendan Rodgers after this one that will be in a similar sort of level? Because if you're looking at his CV, you've got the success in Scotland, but then if you compare that to what Gerrard's success in Scotland, now what's happening with him at Villa, that becomes a bit of a false economy. And then you're thinking, hold on a second, didn't do that well in Liverpool. Missed an opportunity with arguably one of the best strikers in the world at the time, with Sturridge as well, and a young Sterling. Then you're looking at Leicester, a team that he had at one point as FA Cup winners, who are now, he said, verbatim, the target is for 40 points. The fall off is dramatic. And you've
Do you know
this...
that? Just to touch on the fact that you see the word in there, it's not the position or anything like that. It's the points.
Points, yeah.
Very smart in what he's trying to allude to in this, like to put across to people, just like we are here, just battling now. Like
we all know what 40 points means. That means
we all do.
We all know what that means. We all know what that means. He's not going to say it, but we all. Just when you just touched on the Liverpool, I was going to say, you know, obviously you got Lampard at Everton. If he was to move on, would you see a Brendan Rodgers to Everton?
See, the issue here with this for me is that I think Lampard is in a slightly similar situation where Lampard needs to make something work with Everton. And also to quite frank, Everton, if they stay up, they've had a good season because who knows where their goals are coming from. And Leicester, they didn't come into the season with that same expectation.
Yeah.
So Forhan Mashiri and Bill Kenwright know that Everton, they're going to hold some slaps this season. That's just the way the cookie's going to crumble.
Yeah.
But nobody came to Leicester thinking, listen, we're going to get worked at least 4 or 5 times this season. We're going to probably battle to get to the 40 points. No, the brief was Europe in some way, shape or form and a good cup run because that's what they've done before. So
did you that video that's been circulating on the socials where Tillemans is just doing some Baywatch running?
Right. You know what? Let's get there. Let's get there because that video was from 2020. So that is problematic. Now, I will speak for myself on this one. It's not that I thought that Tillemans was not a good footballer. Technically, he's very sound. His passing range is good, but there's something that's been off-putting about him, and I really couldn't put my finger on it because if you asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, I don't want him at Man United, for example. If Tillemans is available, would you want him at Man United? I say no. Darren will tell you in the group chat. I said no, but I couldn't actually give you a reason why. I just said no, and then I watched that video.
That's it.
And maybe it's my inner Mourinho, right? But the off the ball behavior, I call it behavior, not even effort.
Yeah.
The off the ball behavior. It's just not good enough.
It's not good enough.
2020, and he's still doing it now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So now I was going to say because Arsenal heavily linked with Tillemans throughout this whole transfer window. If you want to believe what's being said out there in the socials and that. And one of the key things that was brought up because I was also like, I don't really rate this guy, but his value for money. I was just like, there's something about this guy. Couldn't put my finger on it. And then it was mentioned about his fitness. So I'm thinking to myself, surely not, man. Like a midfielder, he's in there, he's in the mix. Like, how can you be doubting his fitness? the video is from 2020, but just seeing that video, it felt like it was just last game that he was doing that, because I was thinking, how is a midfielder like this jogging back like he's on the Bournemouth beach somewhere? Like, oh man.
Do you know what it is? I don't know.
Darren, Daz, let me pose a question to you to follow on from that.
Yeah.
Because for the goal that Leicester scored to start the game, he closed not even the equalizer. He closed the guy down on the left side, barged him off the ball. So he pressed. He pressed very well, played a nice pass through, instantly a chance is created, and then obviously the assist for the goal. So why is it in that moment that he do that, but then have the lack of, I don't know, effort, urgency? What is it about him that's off-putting?
I'm really glad you framed the question like this, because this is exactly what I was going to say. I don't think it is a effort or application. I just don't think he has the engine.
Okay.
If I'm completely honest, I think it's similar to, but not the same as, Ruben Neves. I think they've got all the technique, all the progression in their passing. They've got the ability to pick out a pass that can break a defense from 50, 60 yards out. They can break lines, they can score from outside the box. And then to a slightly lesser extent, Ruben Neves. But Yuri Tillman's engine over 90 minutes when you're playing for teams that are going to play 60 games a season if they're in a good season, that's a liability, because that's a sub. It's like Jadon Sancho in Man United. It's fantastic. But you know you're making that sub at 65, 70 minutes because he ain't got the stamina to keep that intensity every single game. You look at Tillman's and he stinks of it.
And that must be the stats that they're looking at.
Yeah.
You know, clearly it is the stats that they're looking at and thinking, like you said, obviously now we're privy to having the 5 subs, but you still don't want to be wasting subs for the sake of it, because my man's not got the engine. And but then again, would you think that if he's got runners around him, it could help?
But then you've got to when you are joining a team and you're the player that needs runners around him, you're not joining the top team.
Yeah.
You're that player that they're building around to make you work.
Yeah.
And if Tillmans is not good enough to go to a toxic side and demand that sort of capital.
Fact.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's not there. If I'm frank,
it's true. It's true. You ain't got a leg to stand on to be like, hey, you man work as, because imagine we've all kicked ball in it. You're thinking, wow, how come you're doing I'm doing all the work here?
I'm doing the dummy runs. I'm pressing.
I'm doing everything, and the pay ain't matching.
Oh man!
You can't, imagine he pops up. He pops up at City, for example. But hey, do you know what, Kevin? Can you press him so that I can pick up the ball? Like, no, are you mad? Like it's just not. It's not how it's gonna be.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, you look at the top players. You look at the top players at Liverpool, City, Arsenal, to a lot lesser extent, Chelsea and United. They are doing the pressing and they are doing the technicalities. You look at, for example, Eriksen. He was incredible with the ball, but even with his heart issues, he's leaving it all out there.
He's giving.
Yeah, exactly. He's leaving it all out there. Like,
yeah.
So, what's Tillman's excuse? I think he needs to really hit the strength and conditioning, and I think he will improve from there.
It's a telltale sign, though, isn't it? Just sorry, quickly. It's a telltale sign when you know to yourself you've got, less than a year left on your contract. You're averagely going to be going for about 25 million, and no one is putting in the P's. There's no demand. Even Douglas Luiz at the 11th hour was, being sought after. So you're thinking to yourself, and I'm talking Douglas because he got similar situation with their contracts, and you're seeing that someone like Tielemans is not getting that love. So yeah, man.
Especially when he's playing in a profile, in a position where there are multiple teams in the same league who want that type of player. Absolutely. And they're looking at him and thinking, actually, no, I'll pass.
Yeah. So, exactly. All right. Now, before we move on, let's go on to the team that actually won the game. Go back to them rather, and that's Brighton. So, Darren, you are the Potterati. So I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say some names, and then you just go off. McAllister, Trossard, Gross, Mwepu, and Caicedo.
So can I just say, we missed out on potential goal of the season because
Oh,
of
oh, oh, oh! What a strike!
McAllister scored a direct free kick in the same game and still will not hit a ball sweeter than that volley. Like, yeah, I think this is the thing. Like I'm a bit of a dork, so I look at FB ref reports in my spare time. So you look at McAllister's FB ref report, right? And his pressing numbers are mad high. His creative numbers are mad high at the same time. But this is somebody who's playing at the deepest point of their midfield, just in front of the defensive unit. And you look at the team, and you look at their midfield specifically with Caicedo and Gross, and they can just interchange.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun to watch. I'll never forgive Man United for their sheer laziness and inability to deal with multiple agents with regards to most of Caicedo, because we were offered about 4.5 million a year before he went to Brighton, and that is the sort of signings that top teams would and should be doing. Look at Julian Alvarez at City, for example. You pick out the jewels from South America, especially with the new Brexit regulations, makes it easier to make deals from that part of the world. You do it, it works. Pascal Gross, like
he's a menace, you know.
Yeah. Listen, he has got the final ball and the finish.
Yeah.
Like from a team who's statistically always had a little bit of an issue with XG and put away their chances, this guy, even though he didn't score, he did assist, but he didn't score, he can put the ball away. And he's just another one of their fantastic midfielders. Like
I call him the famous Gross.
Yeah.
Every time I see his name flash
honestly.
up. Oh,
quickly, and last thing before we move on, just quickly from both of you. It can be a one-word answer or it can be like a 20-second answer. Are Brighton ready for a European push? That doesn't mean Champions League. It can be Europa League or Conference League. Are they ready? Darren?
Almost, but if I'm Brighton, I worry that their manager gets poached before they get there.
Okay. Ash, what do you think?
Yeah, it literally just stole that from me because I was just about to say, it's just like, man, how long will Graham Potter be at Brighton for that to be a reality? I would say there are maybe 2-3 players shy of being able to play Premier League week in, week out and do like maybe even a Europa Conference at the stretch, Europa League. But for you to even ask that question, it shows that the type of football that they're playing. Listen, Brighton, they're doing their thing.
I'll say one more thing before you move on.
Go on.
If Southgate has a bad tournament,
Potter to England.
That's what I'm saying. Because nobody can chat to Graham Potter. He's doing incredible stuff. He's cooking with a big spoon with the players that he's got. Like, imagine if he's got
big peanut soup.
Listen, it's sweet. The Captain Quiet is banging, but like, yeah. So imagine what he's doing with the ability to play a Tomori, with a Trent, with a Rice. Like, and this is even the backline. I won't even mention the Sterlings, the Kanes, the Sanchos, the Rashfords, the Grealishes, the Fodens. Like he could take this England team to a much higher level because they will play more expressive.
My last one on this, just off the back of what you said, do we then worry about managers that are with, like, okay, it's with Brighton? How does he deal with the egos at the bigger clubs? Do we worry about that, or we just say?
Can I answer that? Because I feel like it's a difficult one because I'll use the example of Ten Hag for me. Now, Ajax are a huge club, but at that club, you don't have as many egos as maybe you'd have at United or whoever else, right? But that's the only way we're going to find out because you don't know if you can handle egos until you're given the situation where you have to handle egos. But I feel like these days, players not only fall in love with projects at clubs, but they fall in love with the coaches that have a clear plan for what they want to do on the pitch. And if he goes to manage the England club and England national team, and he says, "Hey, this is your role, and this is why you're playing this role, and this is why it's going to work." And after 2 or 3 games, the players play, and they're like, "Okay, this is nice. It's smooth. It works for me." then suddenly there's no issue of ego. It's suddenly an issue of, are we good enough to compete for
win,
a higher
yeah.
level?
Yeah.
And the biggest thing about England, before we move on, is Southgate and other managers in the past, it's always been about favoritism. No matter who is playing bad or playing good, you know who's going to make it. Like, for example, I can tell you, and I think you guys will agree, for the last year, Dan Burn has been better than Harry Maguire in form. But Harry Maguire is going to, if they go to the squad together, you know who's starting next to John Stones, for example.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that for the fact that you can't start a new defensive partnership at a World Cup. But if this was qualifiers, if we weren't looking at a World Cup in November, we're looking at qualifiers for a World Cup, Maguire should be nowhere near the squad. But yeah, absolutely. I get your point.
But yeah, that's the point for me. So that's what I think it is. But anyway, we'll move on from a team in blue that's doing well to a team in blue that's scraping by, being saved by VAR. Chelsea 2, West Ham 1. Now, you know what? We could go round and round this game about who did this and did that, but let's just get to the nitty-gritty of this.
Let me just say this quickly. So, as two newer boys, we're not going to be objective. Two boys from Newham, nah. Like, because that Cornet decision, I'm gonna go straight there. That Cornet decision was the worst mistake VAR did that weekend for me, and it's not even close. It's not even close.
Do you know what? Let me just, because I know we're going to jump deep into the VAR situation. Let's just state this from the get-go, because there's all this talk about how VAR should be taken out. It's not the tech. It's the people that are running this tech. Please understand. Because if you take away VAR right now and the decision is meant to go your way, you're going to be screaming, how come there's no VAR? It is the people that are running the tech. Yeah. And the fact that the referees association have come out and they're actually apologizing for mistakes. You never hear that in like most sports, like in boxing or anything like that, or anything that, oh, we're sorry for the refereeing decisions. We'll take into consideration next time. We'll do better. No, like you've done this reshuffle of referees and you brought these young bucks and everybody in the Stockley Park and everything like that, and they're not being able to use this system. It's actually ridiculous. Like, once again, it's down to mistakes on a consistent basis, which is just like costing everything.
Yeah, and this is why.
What's that saying? A bad tradesman blames his tools.
Yeah.
Oh
man, this hammer, man.
It's insane because even if you go back to the championship this weekend, I think it was Huddersfield that were denied an equalizer.
Goal line tech.
And I'm like, imagine in tennis where someone has a challenge remaining and the guy says,
could you imagine?
And then as the replay is going, the camera just goes off and it's like, yeah, sorry, mate, it's not working. So you just got to hold that. That's football is a big sport.
Who's the Australian tennis player that just wows out all the time?
Curious. Oh my lord. Try that with him. Try that with him. Because I'm watching this game. I'm thinking, okay, firstly, we all know the championship playoffs. I won't even talk about the league. The playoffs is the most lucrative game in football, period, right? So Huddersfield, who are notorious for finishing in playoff positions, are
last year.
Exactly, are looking to get into these positions again. And this is something that can cost them. Big time. But anyway, we'll go back to the Premier League game. Now, Owen, I think we're all here. I know what me and Darren feel like, so I want to hear what Dash feels like.
Yeah.
That decision. What did you think after watching the many replays as we saw with the referee? What was your thoughts?
Shocked, astounded, like thinking, what's going on? Like, once again, you just think to yourself, like we sit there and we think to ourselves, and we say it like, these teams get favored. The big teams get favored, or they're just trying to push they want the league to be exciting. Sometimes I believe that this is true, I truly believe it, because like there's certain things that we're seeing this season is actually nuts.
Yeah.
And like I said, the fact that you get in the referees association coming out and apologize and stuff like that, it's a massive cock up. It's just, I was astounded, I was shocked, but what can you do? We're just left in these situations where we're on podcasts and now we're talking about it, but West Ham have been cost. You know what I mean? They're the ones that are suffering. The teams that are the decisions that are going against are the ones that are suffering. But we're just going to be coming on shows and we're going to be talking about this, and it's not going to change. It's long been happening. Nothing is improving. It feels like it's actually getting worse. Like, You know what I mean? Like we've gone past teething problems. Like everybody knows how to use it. I don't know. I don't know what you lot's thoughts are on that, but it was just crazy to me.
Darren, okay, let's talk about the referees first, because football rules change every year. New handball rules.
Not that much, bruv.
No, not that much. Don't get me wrong. I'm not. This
interpretations of it.
I'm just hosting, so I have to ask the questions, isn't it? I know how I feel. You know exactly how I feel, but I have to ask the questions, isn't it? Rules sort of are different year in, year out. The interpretations are different year in, year out, from handballs to offsides. Are they onside? All that stuff. But these decisions, right, where it looks quite obvious that, because I'm thinking this, hear me out. I'm thinking this. Mendy got the ball, so it's not a foul. And if that ball does not go in if it doesn't go in, it goes for a goal kick. There is no such thing as looking at if Bowen has done serious foul play, or if the goalkeeper has fouled Bowen in other way. But if Mendy doesn't get the ball, we're looking at a penalty shout here, aren't we? So why is it that? To hell, I'm not gonna ask questions. Forget that. I tried to do my best. Sorry, I'm sorry. That was not. It was not raw.
I told you, not objective. I told you this.
I'm sorry. That was absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Don't give it the PC version.
Firstly, you denied a beautiful strike by Cornet. Firstly, let's just put that out there. We'll get into another one that was denied because offside was called way before it needed to be, but we'll get into that as well. But there is no foul whatsoever. It's two players going after the ball. Goalkeeper got there first. Bowen has clearly tried to jump over him. There's been a bit of collision. Bowen's not even like shouting for any sort of foul or anything. Mendy's the one watching the ball hit the back of the net and then starts a whole rib.
Honestly, BAFTA, Tony, Emmy, Grammy, everything. All go to Edward Awards. Listen, Brit, everything. Like,
what's that MTV, that Moon Man?
Yeah, honestly, man, he's just unlocked a second career, man. Football's a short career. Got to do something after he's 40. Do you know what I mean? But like, just really upsetting for me, as somebody who keeps an eye on West Ham. This isn't even the first time this has happened to them this season. Yeah. Look at their goal that they got disallowed against Nottingham Forest, where the referee assumes that Antonio checks, I think it's Mangala, but Mangala stands in his way as he tries to follow the ball up. And you're looking at the way West Ham have had a difficult start. They've had 7 new signings, and you need those rubber degrees to go your way when you incorporate it into the new squad of players, especially when you've had a good season before. So there's a little bit more expectation on them than there was last season. And these type of results, like a point away at Chelsea, that's the sort of, hey, we're cooking, we're going now, here we go. And then to lose all 3 in that manner means that they're coming into the next game, and it's all about their mentalities. The best teams go, all right, the next ones we're facing, don't care who it is, they get worked. Whereas West Ham aren't there yet. They might still be licking their wounds. They might not respond in that way, which keeps more pressure on their new players, keeps more pressure on the manager on top of the pressure that he came on with because of the exceeding their expectations at the start of the season. So again, there's a lot riding on this, and that's what Declan Rice said in the tweets. They're playing under a lot of pressure. I mean, West Ham are in a position where they have to keep up with arguably in the city of the most upwardly mobile teams in the league. Like Tottenham is now looking at top 4 comfy. Arsenal are semi in the title race. Chelsea are Chelsea. Like if they don't, and listen, you might were chatting before the game.
No, you know,
but I'm just saying, I've seen.
Kojo knows me. When we get to that, you hear my.
We've all seen. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's and the way the league is, it's kill or be killed, bruv. You got teams that are owned by Saudi regimes who will be lucky to get 7th, and they've got arguably one of the best number 6s in the league. Like the levels are so high this Premier League. So these decisions are actually like they're really harming teams. And last thing on the referees for me, there is no surprise to me that there has not been English representatives in major international tournaments for the last couple of international tournaments. And the same thing will happen in the next one because they need to sort their crap out because it's terrible. It's so bad.
It's so bad. And you know what? It's annoying as well. Sorry to cut you off. It's just like this whole notion of like VAR in the referee's ear. BAFTA awards and all the acting accolades needs to go to these refs because they're really acting like, yeah, they're going to check things out. They've really done being told, listen, go and change your mind. Just go to the screen, just style it out a little bit. No referees changing their minds. They're not actually thinking about, all right, cool. I'm in the game time. I've seen what's on the pitch right now. All right, you're showing me a different perspective of it. But now, can I put the two together to actually make a defined decision on what's going on? But no, a slow motion can change the picture of anything in any situation. They go into the screens. They never change their minds. They never take things into their own hands. And then they just go back and give the decision to someone that's like far away. It's just ridiculous. It's just like referees need to grow a backbone. And just like you said, they're not getting the high-end World Cups and European Championship now because it's just slacking in this country.
Well, you know what? Talking of referees, we go to the next game. Now, this one ended Aston Villa 1, Man City 1. And before we get into that, the guy that was denied a stunner, again by a refereeing decision, this one didn't even get to go to VAR, by the way, was scored by a former Liverpool player. And talking of Liverpool, we've got a Liverpool fan coming on right now. That is from the D&D Factory, also on Shoot the Defense on Lance Astel in the FPL Wars. We are talking about Dubul Dee.
Your links are smooth with it, you know.
Hey, listen, I've been learning.
The segues.
that was a brilliant segue. I think WWE needs you.
Todd Pettingill.
Big up Dash, big up Darren. Get me?
Appreciate
big up,
it, bro.
How
Guys.
you doing, bro?
I'm all right. I've got an article to finish, but I thought I'd jump on quicker, then I'll get back to it. You know.
I appreciate that.
As long as everyone's good.
Yeah, we're all good. I decided to bring you into this discussion straight away because, well, at the beginning of the season, I think everyone was talking about you and City being top 2 challengers. Now they've dropped points in this game against Aston, but it could have been 3 points instead of 2. Where Coutinho was denied a goal way before he even took the shot. For what reason? I mean, they said it was offside, but even when the flag is out, from what I've understood these days, when the flag is out, the referee lets the player go ahead anyway and sees the end result before we say it's offside or not. Now, before we dive into another shocking refereeing decision, Erling Haaland, discuss.
Oh my god. He's taking the mick out of this league, right? back in the day when I got schooled, by my big cousins on Championship Manager in the late 90s, Zlatan Ibrahimovic was at Malmo, and he used to play in a 30-game season. He used to score 35 goals and get 10 assists. This man's treating this like a computer game, 10 in 6 games. 10 in 6. And you're having a laugh. And the thing is that he's such an intelligent footballer in terms of like his movement, and he smells where the ball is. We've had like Van Nistelrooy, etc. in the past that smelt where the ball is. I wouldn't even say he's fully integrated into the way City play yet, but the ball gets in the box so much. He's just there against Newcastle. Apart from his goal, what exactly did he do? You know what I'm saying? He's just there to put the ball in. It's just ridiculous. It's a cheat code. It's just unfair. Like everyone was saying, "Oh, City are weaker because they let this one go, they let that one go." And this guy's just scoring goals for fun. Like, how are Aston Villa leaving him free like that on the far post? Like, come on.
Do you see the movement beforehand, though?
Movement.
That's why he gets free.
The movement was brilliant, but surely Steve. I know. Looking at him at Rangers, Steven Gerrard can be sometimes overzealous with the attacking play and whatnot. When they were in the Europa League, right? they were going like 2 goals ahead on Benfica, all those teams there, and then ended up drawing the matches. But surely beforehand, you was like, stick to him. This guy's got great movement. Just stick to him because he's moved, he's changed his whatnot. And the ball coming, I'm like, what is that? I'll get interested. The movement was great, but watch him, please.
The guy, man.
This guy is a savage. No, it's hurting me. Yeah, it's hurting me because if we're gonna go, we've been quite frugal in the market, bar Van Dijk and Alisson, right? So if you're gonna break your world record, break your record fee rather for a project in Darwin Núñez, because 2 seasons ago he was in Almeria, you could have bid for anybody. And I'm just sitting here watching Haaland just do this. I'm Vlahovic at Juventus. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man, do you know how hard it is for us to score goals right now? Our midfield, sometimes as it is, even when we win games, can get overrun. So now with the injuries, I'm looking at like Everton never won a game this season. Like you lot probably did the game earlier before I was on.
No. We're waiting for you.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Midfield, so I'll leave it there because we're talking about it properly. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just angry. Even look, obviously, I know he wouldn't have come to Liverpool, but look at what Gabby Jesus is doing, and like he's just like Arsenal have got someone to release to give the ball to now, and there's more confidence in him than there was in Nketiah. So last season, where sometimes Arsenal was like sideways, because there's an outlet now, they're releasing the ball. Look how dangerous he is! Like this guy's flying. And I'm just sitting there, I'm watching, like, but with the goal,
like you said, man, Haaland.
With the goal, because it's more because of the fact that Man City stopped, isn't it? Why the goal wasn't given. Brilliant effort from Coutinho. He's been scoring from there for the best part of best part of 10 years, but he scored back even when he was at Inter. He scored some bad goals, even though he didn't play that much. But Villa did well because obviously, with the way they've been defending and with what Manchester City are doing, everyone thought Villa were going to get turned over. So they did well. Great goal by Bailey. But at the moment, I can't even say that it helped us because we're not we're IKEA at the moment, but all we're doing is just drawing games. But no, Villa did well. But that I don't understand why the play will stop, let it continue, man. And you know he's going to hit the target from there, so it's whether or not Edison to make the save or not. But I've said a lot, Coach. You've come on the show numerous times. I've cried last season about numerous decisions for City. The handball against Wolves when it didn't even touch Martinez's hand. Rodgers handball against Everton that wasn't given, and when you lose a league title by 1 point, these things are just gonna give you nightmares. You get what I'm saying? But it's what it is, isn't it?
I did say that though, Kojo. Remember, just not too long ago, I said like some of these decisions, when you actually deep it, you think yourself, are you not really doing this on purpose to keep these teams in this blockbuster of teams that you want there?
Like, narratives, stories.
I'm telling you, man, let's deep it. It's not a conspiracy theory, man. These things are happening. But
let's go, Darren. I want to ask you this question. So obviously Villa, very good point, but a certain manager was one terrible result away from being known as on record in terms of results so far as the Villa's worst manager, and that is Steven Gerrard.
There's still time.
Now, I don't even know where to go from here. Now. We spoke about Rodgers and his current situation at Leicester. Gerrard, what about him? Because, for example, he spent money this summer. He brought in Diego Carlos,
and before.
Already, we're not seeing Diego Carlos on the pitch. We're seeing Darren Mings and Konsa. What is going on?
To be fair, Diego Carlos, I think, is quite seriously injured. He got injured, I think, first couple of games of the season.
Okay, fair enough.
But on Gerrard's tenure at Villa, generally, they've spent a lot of money. They've brought in a lot of players. They've brought in a lot of quality players. For example, Kamara, the number 6, is a quality player. They've got Buendia and Coutinho. They've got Lucas Digne. They've got 4 or 5 different setbacks. They've got Emi Martinez. And so, for me, my thing with Gerrard is, firstly, the guy who's doing the coaching is now managing QPR. Michael Beale. Yeah.
Fantastic coach, by the way.
Secondly, I don't think Villa matched that 4-3-1-2 that he is insistent on playing. I think if I look at Villa, I see a team that is primed to play three at the back, two on the midfielders, two turns, and a striker up top. You've got for me, you've got Chambers who can play right back and centre back. So obviously for me, makes perfect sense playing right side with back three. You've got Mings who's left footed who can do the same, and Konsa can go in the middle. Very aerially dominant, very physical defence. You've got Matty Cash and you've got Lucadinha, two fullbacks that are much better going forward than they are going backwards. Especially considering that they don't even play natural wingers anyway. You've got the issue with slight nepotism, as there's arguments that Buendia should be playing more for Villa than he actually is, but because Coutinho is their original 10, he's playing ahead. But if he plays that system, he can play both of them behind Ollie Watkins or Danny Ings. Either have goals in them. I'm a big fan of Ings, as you know. And you've got someone like McGinn and Kamara who can sort of orchestrate from further back. And look at that, and I think that makes so much sense to me. But I know next weekend you see 4-3-1-2.
Yeah,
you're gonna see one of the wingers being shoehorned into this sort of third centre midfield role, and the other one shoehorned as like a second striker. So because I thought Bailey primarily was a winger, and yet he isn't playing out wide for Villa. So, but I do think he was Dean Smith's signing, so it might not be Gerrard's fault that. But I don't see a very clear tactical team. I don't see a team that knows exactly what they're doing, how to do it. I think also that, frankly, Gerrard's just not that good a manager. He came into a league with Rangers. Yes, they had a lot of financial trouble, but where everybody knew what the score was as soon as Rangers came back into the SPL. Everybody knew that they were going to just go by a little boy teams constantly, and that's what they did. Within a season or two, they had the strongest or the second strongest team, and it became a duopoly again. And at that point, you got Rodgers at that point who'd won 9 leagues on the bounce, mentally checked out, wanted to go anyway, and then they replaced him with Neil Lennon, who now manages in Cyprus. Shout out still. But at the same time, you look at Gerrard and thinking, okay, you've done well in Europe to get Rangers where they are. But as Dubul Dee was saying, like the amount of goals that they will concede on the continent is incredible. And you just knew when Gerrard is faced with smarter coaches that can adapt their game and make changes to change the course of the game in the game, he falters. And we showed that in Europe. And now we're seeing that week in, week out in the Premier League. I don't think he will go straight away because from what I've read and what I've heard, Gerrard's got connections quite high up in Villa's board. So this is they're all in on him. This is kind of like not just if Gerrard doesn't work, it's not just a failing for Gerrard. It's a failing for a host of people at the hierarchy of Villa. So that makes it a little bit harder. That's probably why they backed him so much financially. But I just look at Gerrard and I'm not impressed. I think the media want Gerrard and Lampard to be Eddie Howe and Graham Potter, but they're not. And they're just going to have to hold that.
I like that. Dash, City, now they have, let's see, they beat West Ham at the beginning of the season. They smacked Bournemouth and they smacked, I think it was Nottingham Forest as well. They smacked earlier this season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I said this last week with a 6-0. But they have drawn 2 games. It's early in the season. I'm not trying to draw any conclusion, but it's the question to be asked. They conceded 3 against Newcastle. They conceded 2 against Crystal Palace, and they've drawn this game against Aston Villa. Are we starting to see some chinks in the armor of City, or is it just a matter of time before they get into their groove again? Maybe when Haaland is fully, as Dubul Dee said, he's not fully integrated like that into the team. Is that a case of him being fully integrated and become even smoother before we see a machine, or are we starting to see a City team maybe trying to get through a transitional period?
Defensively, it's a bit of a. If I was a City fan, I would be slightly concerned because we're not used to really seeing City concede the amount of goals that they can concede at the moment. In terms of form-wise, beginning of the season, City do give up certain games, and you think just right, you're losing this. What's going on? And then all of a sudden, they click into gear, and then zoom. And like you said, that obviously the likes of Haaland, that's not fully integrated. They've got Alvarez as well there on the wings to come in, and he's going to be pitching in. I think the telltale sign is like now we're getting into like Champions League, and that's going to be another caliber of opponents that they can reach a different level with. On Champions League nights, and then coming back to the Premier League, and then kick-starting again. It's only a matter of time when it comes to City. I think all in all, you don't worry that they won't kick into gear, but it's just obviously defensively wise, you would be like thinking, oh, what's going on here? Because they are conceding some unusual goals as well, and goals that you think just right. It's very easy to get at City, but then they've just got the firepower to be like, oh, they're 2-0 down. And then you've got the Premier League app, and you're thinking, right, 2-0 down, and then boom, 4-2, 6-2. And then you're like, why did I even doubt? That Crystal Palace time, I was just thinking, so why did I even think? I thought Uncle Pat had it. I thought Uncle Patrick had it in the bag.
But we were just talking about in regards to the decisions before the hat trick. Haaland damn near kicked someone's head off. Didn't even get booked and then gets a hattie in how long, you know what I'm saying? And these are the things I'm talking about. A team right there at the bottom of the table might not have that same luck. You get what I'm saying?
So I will just say something that we've not really touched on. The World Cup is November. Norway didn't go, Norway didn't go. No. So he's gonna be out here.
Yeah. Man said 10 in 6. He's going to get 12 in 6.
Listen, he's going to be well rested. He's going to be facing like everybody's like second choice.
Chilling.
Listen, like.
And can I say this here? Sorry to cut you off. Can I just say this? I'm going to use this platform to say this, because there's people out there. You go and check on tweets and Twitter and all that. They're calling him a tap-in merchant. Do you not understand what it takes to be like a fox in a box?
Okay,
like, please tell these guys. I want to say names, but I don't want to put them out there. Like
Dash, I'm so sorry to cut you off here, but I have to rant on this because
annoying.
I love my strikers, man. I love my pure number 9s and the man them that are great in the box. So, hey, you know what it is? Yeah, it annoys me because in this era, someone like Ruven Nistelrooy will be disrespected. For example,
people Inzaghi.
That's why I mentioned it.
Inzaghi will be disrespected, bro. They'll find a way to even disrespect Batistuta. That's how far they go.
Before Haaland, you have how hard it is now. Before Haaland, the last true in the box number 9 we had, he wasn't at the level of the names we just mentioned. Was Chicharito Hernandez, that guy that was going to be in the box, sniff a chance and score with that type of striker. We need that. The game needs that kind of striker. That's what we all love it.
We've all been there, whether you've been in the playground and you scored a tap in. The celebrations that these men do when they score a tap in.
Exactly the best of that.
They don't understand. You don't please, whoever is trying to, you're either hating, you don't know nothing about football, you've probably not played the game or whatever. A tap in is just as good as a 40-yarder. If you do the right movement and you get in and you do the tap in, and you go and slide on your knees like people in Zaghi and you're flailing your hands like that. Oh, man, you don't understand, man. This is why Van Nistelrooy was just used to be gassed when he scored goals, because it's like the feeling to get those goals in the box. You don't need to be finessing the ball top bins all the time. As long as you know, listen, Haaland is a goal getter. He's a goal machine. This is his job. He's made to tap in goals. So you dissing him and saying that he's a tapping merchant, you're proving his point. This is what he does.
Yeah, but this is what people do. They were saying it about Kane not too long ago. That he was a tapping merchant. This is what people do. It's all about hating an agenda on social media now. No one is reviewing.
There's a lot of this. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of Spurs fans that are trying to diss Haaland, man.
Yeah, but they need to. They need to, because Haaland has come in. He's like the guy who's coming to prison and just beat up the biggest guy there.
Go eat that cornbread.
He's just looking over Sandy Connor's bloody face and be like, "Look at me, bruv. I'm the captain now."
You know what? Yeah.
So,
You know, Haaland is 22 years old. So let's just say this: Spurs fans are very lucky that he's not going to stay here for the rest of his career.
because a certain kid would.
Oh no, he'll be off within 5 years. He'll be off to Spain.
He's already got. Wasn't it like a 150 million?
Yeah,
2 years.
You know his next move. But
Although to be fair, I feel like every footballer should do that. I think it's smart business, especially if you're one of those footballers that are in the Premier League middle to upper tier team. Those teams that don't need to sell, but they can sell you on the dream of the project. And then you're sat here like James Maddison, as you previously referenced, being touted to go for 80, 60 million or whatever else. And you're just like,
you don't move.
And then
go anywhere.
in a blink of an eye, you're 28, your peak's passed.
Zaha.
So
Zaha got thingy though, man, because they Arsenal had negotiated a deal, hadn't they? But then the board went over his head and got Pepe, and he said, "I didn't." And you get me. Emery said, "I didn't want Nicola Pepe. I wanted with Zaha. I was a fan of his back when I was in Spain, but such is life, man. I feel sorry for Wolf. I wanted to see him how he does like in champs and that. I think he would have relished it.
I think honestly, he's got, if he carries on this trajectory, he's got a chance, but he can't take that chance in England when his contract runs out, because we all know he's not signing.
Yeah,
he needs to look at Germany and think, because he'll do stupid numbers there. he has to look at Germany and think, right, Dortmund played a 17-year-old and Julian Brandt out wide last week. Maybe I could just go there a couple of years. You got European football, you got a new market, you got the skill set that's going to absolutely dominate there. Why not? I think you've got to be able to open your eyes out. Like, if Sancho, as good a player he was, athleticism is not his strong point.
No.
If he's going out there and skinning guys.
The thing about it, when you actually say that, he's skinning
guys. Honestly, I mean, we are gonna have to apologize to the Bundesliga when Haaland drops 40, but at the same time, like,
let's move on. We'll quickly go through some other games. Wolves beat Southampton 1-0. So they got their first win of the season. It's about time. VAR came across again. Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0. Denied a goal, which Crystal Palace player pushed a Newcastle player to the goal, and they give a foul. But hey, such is life. Nottingham Forest 2, Bournemouth 3. Forest spending £156 million or so. I mean, fantastic. They brought a lot of players in, so I'm not criticizing that.
And buses as well for the whole team.
They got
3 buses to take them on match days.
They came with 5 115s. Shout out London.
The Forest fit them in the Champions League.
Well, they're trying to be in there, I guess. They're trying to run it back.
We got to rotate, man.
If there's a team that cannot afford to get relegated,
it's Nottingham Forest.
Oh boy!
But we'll talk about them. We'll talk about them another time because we're gonna try and get to the other games quickly. They lost 3-2, tap in by Anthony as well. A different Anthony. We'll get to the other Anthony later on today. Another tap-in goal. It's funny, Tottenham fans were laughing at Harry Kane, but he's been scoring tap-ins for the last 2 or 3 games. But anyway, they won 2-1 home to Fulham.
Philip Billings' goal, though, coach.
Yeah.
Oh, what a rocket! Quality goal.
That's definitely in one of those what hit son categories.
Yeah.
You don't save those.
Another what hit was Mitrovic from lesser range, but quality nonetheless.
Right. So in the group chat. Sorry.
No, sorry.
On the 3inMidfield group chat, months ago, we were talking about Mitrovic and Vlahovic. We're all nerds on the chat. So I was saying, look, in my opinion, if you look at their international records, there was a gap, but the gap is not as deep as everybody's saying between Mitrovic and Vlahovic, and I got pelters on the chat for saying this. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Kojo is there as proof, even though he wants to hide his camera. He
Right
saw.
off.
He's ready to- yeah. And Mitrovic, yeah, the way he's coming into the Prem this season, like a man who's got a point to prove.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, this is what I did say, like it's there, it's right there for everybody to
I
see.
feel like it's gonna die down, man.
No, it's not. And I'll tell you why it's not going to die down, because Fulham have built the team the right way for once.
Yeah.
For once,
And
yeah, true, yeah.
The signing that's made that bait for me was João Palhinha.
Yeah.
That guy, when they brought him in, I was like, yeah, they're serious. Because that he could have come into United before we brought Casemiro.
But
Like he's that good at six.
He did bits against us on the opening day, but as you're saying, Darren, why the goals won't stop is because things injured Harry Wilson, and he was the top assist man in the Championship last season. Him and Mitrovic have got this understanding, so the goals are unlikely to stop because he's not even played a Prem game yet. You know what I'm saying? But
And he's got a really good dead ball on him. Really good corner kick ball, dead ball on him. So
yeah. He could. Mitrovic could have had 4 on Saturday. Loris has defo got Haaland in it, I mean, and Tony and them man in his FPL team, because the amount of saves that he made. This is the thing with Tottenham. I can't honestly say I've watched Tottenham this season, and look, Southampton when they came from behind, and I can't say I've been overly impressed, but they're getting the points. They're unbeaten. Someone did a tweet the other day, and they said, only a few will understand, but Tottenham are the Bruno Fernandes of the Premier League. And it clicked for me straight away. I said to some people, but they didn't get it. But it's like, you watch Bruno play a game. You Dubul knows, man, United fans. And he'll give the ball away, like what? And then he'll come and then he'll score a screamer from 25 yards and then start getting compared to De Bruyne. Tottenham were complaining about the style of football under Nuno last season, but then they were top at the start, and they tailed off. I'm watching some of their games, I'm like, eh? And then they just still get the goal. Wolves in the first hour, yeah. The other day, Nunes, Guedes, Neto, Tottenham for large periods of the game couldn't touch the ball.
They were
The
struggling.
Wolves kept shooting wide, and then Tottenham won 1-0. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The total football, bro. That's how I used to get my teams to play at flipping goals, bro. bare one touch and movement. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. And knowing the way Tottenham moved, they're going to get their result against City on the weekend, aren't they? Can they do their juju?
We're gonna quickly move on from a team that's playing bad and getting results to a team that's playing bad and not getting results. Liverpool.
Oh wait, Coach, I got a goal, you know. Can you hear that? Can you hear that noise? Dash, can you hear that? Darren, can you hear that, man?
yeah, the line was sound a little bit choppy still.
Yeah, that noise is Darwin Nunez still doing a karate kick in the air for no reason. But Everton 0, Liverpool 0. Merseyside Derby, as always, a fiery game. I know 2 VAR decisions in this one. One was right, one was dubious, because the Gallagher said it was a yellow card. The Van Dijk one on Onana. Or as now Alan Shearer is now singing Onana. But anyway, let's go. Dubul Dee, what is going on?
For a neutral, this would have been a bloody entertaining game because it was end to end, like from the start, and both teams were playing the flipping woodwork challenge, weren't they? Smashing the woodwork and that. But this is a, as I said, even winning, there's been issues sometimes in the midfield in terms of giving the ball away sloppily unless Thiago is in the team. But Thiago gets injured. So it's a case where he's been relying on so many injury-prone midfielders that there's no cohesion in the midfield. And I thought, oh, look, we've got a bit of creativity in there now. The young boys, the Fulham boys starting, Carvalho and Elliott. But though we looked fine attack-wise, we were getting overrun in the midfield. And they've run Fabinho into the ground because at times he's picking up 2 or 3 players. And every time we looked like we were going to get a goal, Everton punted it out of the defence, and then it was them against our 2 centre-halves. And this is it's a big problem, but there's no fluidity to the football this season. And the win against Manchester City in the Community Shield has dragged everyone into a full sense of security. There's issues there. They can be sorted out, but it does rely a lot on the fitness of players. And those players coming back are not guaranteed to be fit for large periods. From back when Ramsey got a winner for Arsenal away at Dortmund, I think, was that 2014? Klopp has been a massive fan of Oxlade-Chamberlain. So though he's in the last year of his contract, he was still looking to him, because when you actually look at it, when he actually starts, Ox has got a very good goal scoring record when he actually starts games, but because he gets injured so much for us, how many games does he start? The lack of goals in midfield, the lack of ability to control the game is a massive problem, because we had 71% against Man United, and I can't sit there and recall many saves that David De Gea had to make. We can sit there and say we hit the woodwork 3 times against Everton, but they had a tight goal disallowed that was just offside. They were the first ones to hit the post through Tom Davis as well, and they caused us a lot. And Alisson had to make a great save from Neil Maupay, but though it was a great save, if Maupay was that guy, he's still going to find a way to score. So, yeah, it's very concerning. We've got Wolves next as well, and Wolves can keep the ball. So this is not, people will think, oh, yeah, Salah, give me 3 points. Let me not sell Salah in my FPL team because they're playing Wolves. Nah, there's problems there. And it's only the fact that the World Cup is coming and there's so many games after the World Cup. I think it's 16 before and then 22 after. Why? Just stick. You can't let this gap get too big. It was actually better, though I dislike both teams, that United actually beat Arsenal yesterday before Arsenal were getting too far away. Though I still think City are going to win the league. But yeah, it's a big concern. We'll improve, but if we take too long to improve, it could be a case where the best we can hope for is 3rd or 4th. And when you've just lost the title by 1 point, and then you've just broke your transfer record to bring in Darwin Núñez, that's not good enough.
But the question on Darwin is, for me, somebody who doesn't watch Liverpool like that, it does seem like you've completely changed the composition of your attack for Darwin Núñez, making Salah have to play a bit more of a traditional winger.
Yeah, that's what.
Why would you do that for somebody who, as you said, a couple of years ago was playing at Almeria? Doesn't make any sense.
It's a project. It's funny you said that, D, because Pep Linders, our assistant, was talking. It was either this morning or it was yesterday in the yesterday's press conference, and he was saying that it's more him than Klopp, and they've asked Salah to honk the touchline and bring others into play. But if a man's just got the golden boot, whether he shared it with Son or not, if it's not broke, don't try and fix it, because the way Klopp usually takes his time to bring players in. If Diogo Jota never got injured pre-season, I don't think Núñez starts the season. I think he comes off the bench with there being 5 subs gradually for 5, 6, 7, 8 games, and then he starts starting games. But with Jota out, he's thrown in there. He come off the bench, did his goal and assist against Fulham. But I don't understand it, because Salah, it's him being that far away from the goal allows teams to double and sometimes even triple up on him, and it makes it easier. And then what frustrates me about Luis Diaz is that he can take people on with his eyes closed, but then his decision making afterwards, what are you doing? Man's running into I cussed Rashford for it. Man was running into cul-de-sacs, etc. Like, what are you doing? Tsimikas is open and he runs in field. It's like, where's your left foot, bro? He runs into 2 defenders. Tsimikas is there. Then Robertson came on and the same thing was happening. It's like, that's how we got our goals. If it wasn't the midfielders created, then it's the fullbacks, cutbacks, crosses in and whatever. They're not doing that. It's making us easier to defend against. And it's really, really worrying, because at the moment, I look at the Wolves game on the weekend and I'm thinking it's probably going to be another draw. unless we buck up our ideas. Like, it's really, really concerning what's going on. Like, but it is what it is, and I was scared that it could come, not just with the likes of Mane leaving, but because of the injuries that we have, and the sheer fact that we've accumulated so many points in the last few years. There's going to come a stage where things are not going your way, and Manchester City haven't blown me away yet, but they've got a bags man up there up top, and Salah's going to get goals, but because he struggled, Nunes wants to headbutt people, wants to do the flipping Glasgow kiss on flipping Joachim Anderson. So the whole point we've brought you is to flipping break down low block teams, and you're sitting in the stands calling people putter from the stands when you should be on the pitch. This is the problem. So you've just like made it longer for the team to get together and to understand your game. And I'm just sitting, I'm thinking like, and I don't even go on Twitter because people they're just loving this. Like, yeah, I told you Liverpool and all that, this, that, completely overlooking injuries, etc., whatever. But yeah, no, it's not good enough. But it's worrying. I don't want to fall too far behind too early, man. It's painful to watch right now.
Even more so the added weight of that whole Haaland-Darwin comparison, and
I'm saying
it's adding more, to it. But yeah, man.
Darren, I want to ask you a question quickly. So with Liverpool, and I'll bring Man United to this quickly because we are lacking in midfield connoisseurs for a while now, until sort of the season anyway. Thiago injury prone, Oxlade-Chamberlain injury prone, Naby Keita injury prone, Fabinho running to the grounds, wherever it may be, loss of form. How should I phrase the question? Was it maybe very, very careless? Maybe I used the word careless of Klopp at first to say that he didn't feel like he needed.
It's negligence.
The midfield.
It's negligence.
I just don't understand why he'd think that. If I'm honest with you, especially seeing as like you put Frankie De Jong in that Liverpool team, he's eating because he's got the dynamism and he's got a weight pass, and you've got the thing is with that sort of like hybrid German system that he plays. There's so many players that could do it. Like you got Kakare at Lyon, you got Frankie De Jong, as I said as well before. You've got the guy plays some butcher go back, Manu Kone. You did like Florian Neuhaus. There's so many players. I think they've even been linked with Neuhaus before. There were so many players that Klopp could have got. Actually, yeah, we just had him, stuck him in.
Yuri Tillemans is right there, Darren. He's right.
I don't think he has. We said this before. We don't think he has the energy over the course of 90 minutes.
Definitely not rock and roll for you guys, mate.
I don't think he's got it. Yeah,
I'm thinking more from a passing perspective.
If I'm honest, Yuri Tillmans is more smooth jazz than rock and roll. To be honest,
I like that.
Man said Tillemans plays the harp.
Yeah.
Come on.
If I'll be honest with you, I think it's negligence. But also, I think it's like, for example, with Arsenal with the sixth situation that they found us in just before the United game, when you've got a certified number one and a certified number two and a system of play, it almost feels like you're rushing to buy somebody in at the end of the season or at the end of the window when you feel like you can ride it out. Because in theory, Keita should have worked. He's had the football education for it to work. For some reason, it hasn't. Ox works, but he's never fit. You just need the rub of the green, so I can understand why he thought that.
Brought in Artemelo as well, he's not too shy of his injury problems. So that's a bit of another.
Yeah. But that's a panic, isn't it? I mean, that's
Did you see what happened? Because obviously Hendo got injured, and there was less than 24 hours of the window left. We tried to get a couple of midfielders. We actually hollered Juventus initially about taking Zakaria on loan, but then Chelsea got involved. And that's when we get him. And obviously, then we hollered at Arthur. It's negligence. You're dependent on injury-prone midfielders, and this is what you get. We had this scenario already with the defenders when we let Lovren go,
them two.
and then two of your three main centre halves, Matip and Gomez, are injury prone. And then we had to go and get Kabak and Ben Davis, who didn't even play a game for the club. And the joke was that even when they first came, he was still playing Fabinho or Henderson at centre half. And then when he actually just played Kabak, and then we had to get that Phillips back from loan at Stuttgart, then we started winning again, and then ended up somehow coming third. So yeah, no, it's negligence. I just don't get it, man. I don't get it. But it is what it is, and the way he's dropping hints is like as though he's blaming the board. But surely, if you're going to sign a new contract, surely in the negotiations you are going to talk about what's going to go on.
I'm not convinced he didn't sign a new contract for the work into Liverpool Football Club. He signed that contract for Liverpool, the city. And for somebody who I've been there quite a few times, and I know what the place is like. And I know that there were those types of people that when they take to you, that's it. You're one of them.
Yeah, it was nostalgia. There was a bit like of a fairy tale kind of thing.
It wasn't a footballing decision from interviews he's taken and stuff like that. It's basically his wife going, "Hey, but it's live here. We're loved. What more do we want?"
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, because you remember he said his wife was saying like, "Oh, she's happy. If the wife's happy."
Yeah, happy wife, happy life, honestly. So, I don't think it was a footballing decision, because the footballing decision for me, if I'm Jurgen Klopp, is sit and wait for the Germany job or sit and wait for the Bayern job, because who can chat to you? Do you know what I mean? And that's the one thing, because he doesn't strike me as a manager that's going to be doing this as long as Fergie has. I feel like he's probably got one or two more jobs left in him. And I think he's cut into that penultimate job because he loves Liverpool, the place, so much.
Yeah.
That is, in my opinion, is why I signed. I probably am wrong, but I look at him and I look at the way Liverpool is, because they're primed for their era to end at the moment with the injuries and the age of their team and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I think so. I think you look at over the stint of his time, you could argue two years ago was the golden point of the era. And I think now you're looking at Salah basically begged all last season for a new contract. Mane's gone. You made a howler with signing Nunez and not signing Nkunku and basically doing what you've been doing for the last few years. You've got issues with your midfield that don't seem to go away. You've not got young enough midfielders really with similar profiles to Thiago and to Fabinho to make it work long term. You've got Henderson and Milner still there. Milner, who shouldn't really be playing any games because of his age for a team like Liverpool. It doesn't look like a team ready to continue the fight to a City team that can buy a new team every year when they want to. So this is why I think the whole signing contract was a purely emotional decision.
Well, we've got about 15-20 minutes left of the podcast, so we're gonna have to swiftly move on. My last bit on this is I said at the selling of Mane, I want to see how Klopp will adapt, because it won't be the same in terms of form. But when Dortmund collapsed, it was near enough time when they sold Götze or lost Götze. I didn't sell him; they lost him, and Klopp wasn't really sure about what he wanted to do next with that kind of player in the role and change the system and all that. With Mane gone as well, and now obviously this change with Salah as well. Maybe trying to do something different. But from one winger you can't see at Liverpool to one winger you can see at Old Trafford, we call him feeding the kids Francesco Totti. We call the other guy on the
What?
We call the other guy on the other side. What did I call him, Darren? Rio de Janeiro Robben.
Rio Robben.
You couldn't right wing
Romario.
Right wing Romario. But all the hype aside, it was the 3-midfield derby, and it was Man United versus Arsenal, and it ended Manchester United 3, Arsenal 1. I will toot my own horn here.
Is that why Cahil's not here?
Well, he's working, but seagulls and all that again, big jumps. But me and Cahil actually went onto a Arsenal channel an hour and a half before the game, and the guy asked for a prediction, and I actually predicted 3-1. I said at the time, I'm going to be foolishly very, very, very optimistic and go for 3-1. There you go. Got lucky in the end. Should have put Aka.
Can I just say it's cash money because Man United have been beating Arsenal that particular way since 2009.
Yeah. Rinse and repeat.
Honestly, so the first goal is the type of football Ten Hag wants United to play.
Mm.
Then after that, it's listen, we know what the drill is. We soak, we hit on the ball, we hit on the break.
Yeah.
Because they come to OT with the same naivety that they came 10 years ago. That time when Man United made a Sky advert from them on the Emirates, they're still conceding the same type of goals.
Yeah.
And then they'll come and complain, ratata, decisions, ratata, ratata, corruption, when Lukonga could have got sent off, but didn't get booked. Yeah. When Gabby Jesus kicked out on Martinez off the ball, and if Martinez wasn't Martinez and he fell on the floor, Gabby Jesus would have got sent off.
Mm.
It's that, like, if everybody knows your kryptonite, maybe it's not everybody else. Maybe it's you. That's all. Like that's my thing with Arsenal. Like they're clearly further along in their journey than Man United in terms of where they want to be. They're a fantastic team. They've had fantastic passages of football in that game, but the naivety is constantly there, and you could argue that's Arteta's fault. We're flooding the kids. We're flooding a team of under 24s, under 25s, no real experience. No one's like, listen, this is what they're going to do. Effing wise up to it. Otherwise, we're going to pay for it.
Mm. Because
realistically, after Arsenal equalised, they should have won the game. But they decided to grab defeat from the jaws of victory the same way they've done at Old Trafford for years. And I tell you what, if Arsenal had won that game, I would have took them serious. I was like, yeah, they're ready for really ready for a title challenge, because that for me would have shown me that's a team that's learned from previous mistakes, who are sort of switched on mentally enough. So now we're not going to go that way because we know how that song plays. We've heard it plenty times. Whereas you see Bruno Fernandes breaking your high line and Rashford running on goal, and you're thinking, wow, but I swear I saw this last year. So that's my thing.
Yeah, Dash, I saw you nodding your head a lot. So obviously you're the Arsenal fan on the podcast today.
You might as well not brought me on, because Darren said everything that I wanted to say. Real talk. Listen, I can genuinely just echo everything that you said. I said this after the game, and I said this during the game, and a lot of Arsenal fans were getting onto me. I was just like, I'm seeing what is happening here. Good passage of plays, passing it around, but when it came to the key areas, passes, and then how high we was playing, and then if you lose the ball in these key areas, and then as we saw, it's going to Bruno, it's going to Eriksen, they're playing it in behind, and then you've got the pace that can hurt us. We have conceded this type of goal since Fergie times, the longest time. It's like, but we was on top of the game. We was, that's all good. But when a team actually genuinely just thinks, you know what, we are good enough to soak up this pressure. We even if it's the case where we'll risk, being on the back foot for a bit. But because we're sucking them in, and then boom, spring the trap. It was traps that were being laid for us, and we just was way too naive. At 1-1, for me personally, when it was a 1-1, we didn't need to be so overzealous, and we didn't need to be so gung-ho and going for the juggler straight away. Yeah. I think, keeping the ball and frustrating you guys was the best thing to do, so that then you will be like, oh, they're not actually biting to what we want to do. Let's now come out. The spaces would then open up. You was far too compact. Jesus, as much as the work that he was doing, and this is not a criticism, this is a critique. I just wish, and I'm hoping that he doesn't get in the habit of playing like the way everybody's saying, he's doing all the hard work, he's running around. We need you up front, my boy. We need you in those goal scoring positions as well. But because if he's out of those positions, we need someone else going in there, and that is really goal hungry as well. But all in all, it was a game that, like you said, if we won that game, the talk would be different. Arsenal have learned from their mistakes or whatnot. We didn't. So, those kind of thought processes still are raising its ugly head. The only thing that I would say in terms of the game afterwards, the players would have been disappointed. The fans alike were disappointed. But, look, 5-5, regardless of who you're playing, the morale, the camaraderie of the players, the spirit of the players, the likes of Jesus, Cummings, Zinchenko, has definitely changed the spirit of the team. All we just need to do now is just against Everton is jump back up, get the 3 points that we need, and just keep on going. And like D said, if we would have won the game, we would have been stretching the points, and we've only got 16 games until the World Cup. So me right now is just get as many points as you can on the board, especially we're playing really good football at the moment. Let's just continue the form that we're doing. If we go like another 3-4 games on a winning bounce, I will take that. And then the opportunity, then when we get to another big team, because you got to remember as well, United, that's your second top team that you've played. So the experience of maybe playing against Liverpool and then playing against Arsenal again at home, you always had that advantage. For me, personally, I felt like you had the advantage for the game. I didn't know why so many Man United fans were as worried as they were. But yeah, man, now it's just to see, like, when we get to play another top team, can we learn from the mistakes from the Man United games? And it's also just making sure that you understand not every time you need to be going gung-ho and proving that, because we'll probably do the same thing with Liverpool again. Just because we're playing very, very well and we're in good form, we'll try and go toe-to-toe with Liverpool or toe-to-toe with Man City. We need to find a way of understanding. Sometimes when you go away from home, you might not always be able to get those 3 points. You know what I'm saying? Because we see that with Spurs as well sometimes. They're not going to win, but they're picking up the points off their rivals and breaking up what's going on. So all in all, disappointed, but I'm not like downbeated as you're seeing online and people are, switching already, because the first 2 games, Man United, the world was upside down. 4 games in a row you're winning, everything's good again. Arsenal winning 5 games in a row. We're touted as the title challengers. We lose 1 game, it's same old Arsenal. So we just got to keep more of a consistent form. So we've lost this game now. The next game against Everton has to be a win. It cannot be a draw or anything like that. We need to pick up ourselves, bounce back up, and we've got the players to do it.
Dubul Dee, you can follow on that, but I also want to ask you, because it's worth the discussion. I think Dash is more disappointed with how Arsenal approached the game, especially in key areas and key moments of the game. But again, refereeing decisions will come into this discussion as well.
Yep.
The disallowed goal, Martinelli. Now, for you are a Liverpool fan. I know you hate both clubs, so I'm expecting you to just talk about how you want to. Was that Odegaard said that he feels like it was a soft decision to give? Arteta didn't really mention it. He spoke about more the lack of courage of the team. So I think he didn't feel like it was a foul. Or maybe he felt it was a foul rather than anything else, but we don't know what his thoughts are. Did you think that was a foul, or did you think that Man United got lucky with that one?
It's a tricky one, Coach, because it's soft. SAAFT is soft.
Soft.
But at the same time, I see why it was given, because Odegaard's had a little. You see it all the time anyway, but Odegaard's gone in and he's not played the ball. He's had a little push on him. If a goal never come, believe me, there would have been absolutely no issue. But this is what VAR are going to do. They're going to be like, "Oh, you might not have seen that, blah blah blah." And as you were saying earlier, they've already told them in the ear what decision to make, but they said, "Maybe have a look, have a look and do it." Etc. Otherwise, you'll see more overruling going on. And the last person I can see that actually did that I think it was Michael Oliver in a cup tie. So not that many people knew about it. It was a Crystal Palace and the cup tie. And the over that he didn't listen to what the video assistant referee was telling him. But yeah, I see why it was given. It was very soft, but I see why it was given. But to be honest, in a big game, if I felt it, I'd go down too, mate.
Yeah.
It was 50-50.
I was going 50-50. You see why it was given, but if it wasn't given, you understand it. Last season, and obviously, you saw one of the biggest flops of the season when Chelsea and Tottenham played, when Kane put his hands on Thiago Silva, and then Silva went down, and then Kane, and then Kane's goal got disallowed. You know what I'm saying? You go down in it. It's all mixing. Some might say dark art, some might say it's not that deep, but
this is what I was saying. Sorry to cut you off. This is what I was saying earlier on in regards to real time, what the referee is seeing and judging to be like what is excessive force, what is like, you know what I mean? So he's there and he can see it, and you get a tone of the game in it. You understand that's a soft one. So, and he's not giving it. But in Stockley Park, they said, oh, you might have to look at it. And then when you slow things down, even an arm, like an arm being touched on someone's shoulder, you not being there on the pitch, you cannot equate to what is the excessive force or how strong the challenge is for you to be like, oh, that is a foul and that's not a foul. But because of the fact that he's not gone for the ball or he's not won the ball, automatically it puts it in that realm of 50-50. The referees deemed that it's not a foul on the pitch, but on VAR, they've seen that there's something to be questioned. The only thing that you ask is like, was that an obvious mistake from the referee? Was it a clear and obvious mistake from the referee? And because some people will be like, it's a soft one, or some people are saying it wasn't a foul. It's 50-50 in it. So either way, that's why Arteta didn't really touch on it too much. But the only thing that he touched on, which was key, is like at the beginning of the season, what was the precedence of like in terms of the challenges? And because the first couple games was thinking, what is this rugby? What's going on? Challenges flying everywhere, but the referee's like, play on. But all of a sudden now, as we're seeing the weeks going by, we're reverting back to what we deem as normal. Like if it's a foul, it's a foul. But I've not even complained about the fact of that the decision, because we still had, God knows how many minutes in the game, still 85 minutes or so to still do something, and we didn't. So so the only thing that I would say is like, it would have been interesting to see if we did get a goal ahead, how would have Man United reacted? That's what I wanted to see. And how would Arsenal have reacted? Would they have been puffing their chest and being like, look, we've got this? Great finish from Martinelli though.
Oh, it was a great goal.
This is what I've been asking from this boy. Like, start converting, start scoring. It's all good trying to take on Trent Alexander-Arnold and getting your highlight reels, but we need to see goals, you know what I mean? So great finish from him. And man, we're not going to get them kind of decisions at Old Trafford. You already know. So it is what it is, man. It is. But look, man, Man United, just the last bit on Man United, it just shows that all of this, and Gary Neville did allude to it, is like all this not Gary Neville, like some other pundits were alluding to it, is like all this after the game, instead of getting onto the players, you're talking about the Glazers or the owners or whatever, you're diverting the attention of the players that are, when they're going on a pitch, they're not either performing or they're doing crap or they're doing madness. Now you're seeing like, as soon as you put heat under these players, they're capable of reaching the levels that they need to reach. So, like there's a lot of complaints, but you've got like, the likes of Rashford now, all of a sudden he's playing out of his skin, and other players are raising their levels. These players have been letting down managers time after time. And there are blatant, obvious guys like Maguire that shouldn't be wearing a red t-shirt ever again. Because even when he came on for his cameo, my man came with the Samoa
immediately.
Bro, Jesus,
1 minute.
Do you know what? Yeah, if Jesus was actually smart, he would have taken him on his left-hand side, Jesus right, and just burnt him down the wing. But he cut in and he gave Maguire a chance, and then he gave him like them Samoan claps to the chest. I'm thinking, what is going on? But those kind of players, they should not be on the pitch, but the rest of them, shame on them, because they should have been showing this type of performance for a long time. And this, although I would say that with Man United, you're not playing the best football at the moment. It's not the greatest thing that we're seeing, but the confidence is building. The belief in Ten Hag coming in. Is this a new manager bounce? We don't know. You know, there's games to be seen how this, however long this carries on for. But kudos to Man United, man. You're at home. You done your thing. You used the template that Sir Alex left in the change rooms many years ago, and you used it. And like you said, Darren, man, the naivety from Arsenal is what let us down. Yeah. That will be from Arteta, because obviously he's given the instructions to play that high line and go for the gung-ho-ness. And then the changes that he made to really try to, he thought to himself like, oh, we're in a upper hand right now, let's go for it again. And then he makes those 3 changes, which people were kind of thinking, what are you doing here? But it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve.
Vieira did all right when he came on, but I was actually giving Arsenal ratings earlier in regards to the fact that their play has improved, but with the amount of position they had, I don't understand why they didn't shoot more yesterday.
Yeah, Odegaard's missed.
Someone tweeted Odegaard's Simmons, as in Ben Simmons. I said, "Yeah, shoot. Why don't you shoot, bro?" Like they were getting. I'm thinking, Arsenal getting the ball by the edge of the box. I'm like, shoot, and then pass it that way. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Being on top like that, especially like obviously, you know, having possession and being on top and having large periods of time where we was putting a amount of pressure. If we're just clinical, we just put a chance away, then the dynamics of the game changes, in it. But we see it in any sport, man. We see it in boxing. We see it if you give people enough chances to hang in there and soak up the pressure, all it just takes is for a sucker punch. Boom. We've seen it many a times, and then the advantage then goes the other way. The scales get tipped over, and then it's hard. It's an uphill battle to get back into the game.
Yeah. Sorry, Coach.
Quickly.
With the high line on the second goal, Saliba's reactions were just the way he took another step. I just didn't get that. Yeah. Could have been.
By then, you're just everything's gone to tits up in it. So. Yeah, it's just one of them ones where now you're no longer disciplined, and we all know that without discipline you can't achieve anything. So as soon as just the last point, the goal where Gabriel, if you see his mistake alone killed Arsenal's defense. He was overzealous. He comes out. He don't go to ground. If you're gonna come, just put the pressure. We all know this, man. We teach this to kids, man. Don't go to ground. As soon as you go to ground, you leave yourself an impossible task to try and get up, to get back up. If he just went in as he did, which I didn't want him to, and then you try to stand off or you try to hold him off, then you can spin around. But he's gone to ground. Then Zinchenko's then pulled in to cover that space that Gabriel's left, and then it's left Anthony free. And then you pay 85, 90 mil for someone, you're expecting them to finish off their dinner. Man was banging his chest and the badge as if like he's been playing there for years.
Rashford did very well, though.
Rashford's finish, he's lucky, though, because if it doesn't come off Ben White, he's missing a one-on-one sitter.
Yeah, but
that
is the luck of football. But we'll quickly go on to Man United. I want to see my piece quickly, and then I'll let Darren finish off, and then we'll lock off there. Firstly, I feel like Arsenal were given a lot of chances because Man United were also quite poor in their press, especially in the second half. They were giving Arsenal a lot of space, a lot of time to cook. You don't give players like Zinchenko time to find passes, players like Odegaard time to find passes. I can go on and on. Even the players that are not the best, it's a thing in football. If you give a player time and space, you know, they'll punish you. You know, I could go back to when Man United beat Tottenham last season at Old Trafford. Eric Dyer stood off Cristiano Ronaldo of all people. You know, Bournemouth 9-0. They're nowhere near the levels of Liverpool. But when Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has shown proof that he can shoot from range, hit set pieces, if you stand off him for a good 10 seconds, he's going to shoot. And more often than not, it's going to be a good effort. And I think Man United were doing that a lot in the game against Arsenal, and Arsenal were able to create chances. But what I will say is this, and I think Darren will like this as well, about Ten Hag. The first goal is the kind of football we wanted to play. If we couldn't get through within the first couple of passes, we started again. We brought it back. We let everyone get into a shape. we let Arsenal come out again and we
Mm.
threw them out. And I did say this to Cahill about Gabriel because I noticed it against Fulham. He is very complacent.
Yep.
I don't know what it is about him, but he's very complacent because Mitrovic was giving him hell last week, and he kind of made it easier for Mitrovic to give him hell, whether it was coming out aggressively for no reason or whether it was being very complacent on the football, where he wasted too much time. He was getting closed down easily. He's probably a bit of a weak link, and it's funny because he's good going forward for Arsenal into the set pieces. So I think that's why I said I'll keep him. I mean, I think him and Saliba have a good understanding. But what happened in this game was when they went into a situation where they were under pressure. I did say this as well against Leicester. Even though Leicester did score and you scored immediately, the good thing about that situation for you is that you were ahead anyway. So when they got their goal back, you were still ahead and you just were able to open the gap again. Against Man United, you were behind. So what are you going to do in this situation? You've equalized now. What's next? Are you going to press or are you going to see if you can find smarter openings? And it was very, 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 very silly, in my opinion, whether it was a player's decision or Arteta's decision to press so high, knowing that you got Marcus Rashford, who is a burners, who's literally going to use his speed in this situation. That's what he's there for, to be a number 10. And if he's just on the left, he's going to try and cut in. It's a simple pass. And Ben White, I will criticize him for this one because Saliba, I'm not saying Saliba is blameless. What I'm saying is Ben White saw Rashford running way before the ball was played, and he tracked him for about 2 seconds and stopped. And I don't know whether he thought it was going to be offside. Yeah, but you can't run that chance when you know that the player can see what's in front of him. If it is called offside, that is literally Rashford's fault. So as a defender, knowing that you also don't have the pace of Rashford, you have to do whatever you can to deny that chance before it even gets there. Mm-hmm. Maybe make a foul before it becomes a goal scoring opportunity. You take that yellow card, you move on. And then the third goal as well. I mean, you're 2-1 down. I understand you're trying to get the equalizer. But again, it's very naive to the point where Christian Eriksen, who's not the quickest, by the way, has the space of a whole half to go near enough one-on-one with the goalkeeper and just be kind enough to pass it to Rashford to give him his second goal of the game. It was very poor from Arsenal. And all the arguments about refereeing does not take away from how bad that defensive performance was. And that's what it's going to be. But, you know, for Man United, it's good to have 4 wins on the bounce for the first time in ages. It's good for them to find some level of form. I think what's good for a player like Scott McTominay, who I'll forever criticize because I don't think he's very good, but you can see there's a different confidence in his game. He's making a lot more forward passes. His tackles are making a lot more sense, even though he's still making very stupid, aggressive fouls for no reason, like, you know, doing cut angle.
Jesus, boy.
Yeah, doing cut angle slams against people on the pitch. But you know, it's good to get those wins. We beat Liverpool, we've beaten Arsenal now, we've beat Leicester away from home. But Palace away is next, and that's no easy feat. But Darren, if you can, just give us your last thoughts on Man United, and then we shall lock it up from there.
Okay, my last thoughts, for me, really, of this game specifically, is it's Arsenal lost, but it's not the worst loss in the world for Arsenal. If we're keeping it real, we will look at the game and think, there is something there. They're cooking something. But if they want to be where their fans pretend they deserve to be, they need to wise up and become streetwise. You can't skin a cat one way only and win the league. Even City go direct.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like this is what you've got. You've got to be able to
mix it up.
Be difficult.
Yeah.
And Arsenal haven't got that yet. On top of that, to be honest, Ten Hag has been very measured about Man United's success because I think he knows we're still not doing exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
But we're grinding through. And that shows real good progress. And what I'm really impressed by him is his adaptability. A lot of these sort of like Juego de Posición type coaches, like the Peps and the Artetas, is always my way or the highway. But Ten Hag has shown a lot of adaptability and has changed the way that United have played to suit the team in moments where it's really been helpful. Man United changed the way they played when the impetus was on Arsenal to win. and that got us to the 2 extra goals.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you, I think Dog's trying to get in the way. I think Man United are putting themselves in a position where they can look at top four and think, you know what, maybe. And at the start of the season, the very start, it looked like there was no chance of that. So you can't really complain.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can lock it off there. It's almost been.
I like Darren, man. I like him, man. He coming.
This is why when we say
my kind of guy, man.
People are like, "Oh, yo, who's the third member of 3inMidfield? You're gonna get someone else. The original guy's not coming no more." I said, "Listen, you don't even do that. Don't do that. There's only one person that can fill that role, and it's that guy there. That's it. We're gonna run that. But anyway, thank you for everyone that's been watching, everyone that's listened. It's been a long one, but it's been an enjoyable one. We've talked about all the clubs possible as well. Join us, like and subscribe to the podcast. But of course, before they go and before we leave you as well, their links are in the bio below. But regardless, I'll always let them plug themselves. Dubul Dee, where can we find you, sir?
On there, but as you said, at Dubul Dee, DUBULDEE on all social media platforms, and I'm part of the D&D Football Factory, and we go live on Top FM on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Till midday. That's me, D-Man, and Big Sam on Top FM. If you're not in London, probably best to get that on the TuneIn app or the Simple Radio app. But if you are in London, 95.5 FM. Podcast sporadically. Coach is a regular. Come down to the show. But yeah, Footy Factory at DD Footy Factory _ on Twitter and on Instagram.
Awesome. And your blog as well?
danzigzags.co.uk. European football, FPL, Liverpool rants. Sometimes some wrestling up in there as well. But yeah, danzigzags.co.uk.
Yeah, Dubul Dee is in some FPL pain right now, but hopefully things will get better. Me, on the other hand, I've had a wonderful week. That's checking they find you, bro.
Yeah, I won, coach. I won, bro.
You did win. True, that's true.
Yeah.
Dash, yes, sir.
Yes, it's your boy Dashiki Dash. You can find me on Instagram, mostly active on there. Twitter, I'm there once in a while. It's the show itself, man. A dash of sports. That's why I give you all the, hot topics, trending stories. Man, all sports. I try and cover as much as I can, whether it be boxing, football, MMA, man, Formula One, you name it. I'm trying to cover the hot topics and trending stories, and wrestling as well, man. Try and cover that as well. WWE, me and Kojo going back and forth, and the storylines and everything like that on the DMs. But yeah, man, that's where you can find me. Just updating Premier League stuff as well. So yeah, man, come and like and subscribe, as they say.
Yes, we are part of Roman Reigns FC.
Yes,
no, you'll recognize
bloodline.
Acknowledge me, or as they will say in Spanish, entiéndeme. Darren, any plugs?
Hey, you know me, I'm a private guy. I move in the shadows. Follow the podcast account, 3 a.m. You know it makes sense.
There you go. 3inMidfield on all your audios and all your socials. The Match Report on YouTube. That is us, 3inMidfield. Good night.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.